Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into something important, a pretty massive strategic partnership. The one between Pi Network and Sign Protocol, announced during Korea Blockchain Week 2025. And honestly, this looks like it could be a major pivot point for the whole Pi ecosystem.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely more than just, another partnership. It feels like a statement, especially
Right.
when you see who was there. Stephanie Moore, right? Chief Advisor for Communication and Partnerships from the official core team. Her being at the Pi Network X Sign Seoul meetup on September 22nd in Seoul, well, that tells you it's pretty central to their plans.
Yeah, that's a strong signal. Presence matters. So this isn't just some minor tech integration. We really need to unpack this because, let's be honest, Pi Network has faced a lot of questions for years about real-world use, about enforceability. So the big question is, how does this Sign Protocol deal actually, push Pi beyond being just a big community project? How does it help it become like a fully working, legitimate blockchain?
Right. And to really get the weight of that question, you kind of have to look back at where Pi started. Launched back in 2019, Stanford folks behind it. Their initial idea was all about making crypto easy. Super accessible, eco-friendly mobile mining, literally just pressing a button on your phone once a day. The whole strategy was scale first, get millions of users involved, let them build web apps while the main network was still, under development, get the
Yeah.
community ready.
And they definitely succeeded on the scale part. I mean,
Yeah.
arguably the biggest crypto community out there, right?
Yeah.
But now, yeah, the utility, the function, it needs to catch up to that scale. So, okay, let's talk about the partner. Sign Protocol, building trust is hard. What exactly is this protocol? Why them?
Okay, Sign Protocol. It's described as an advanced omni-chain attestation protocol. Now, that sounds like a mouthful, I know. But let's break it down. Think of it less like a coin or a token and more like a universal digital notary. Its main job is just to verify stuff. Any information, could be a document, a transaction, whatever, verify it directly on the blockchain. So you get this undeniable proof it happened, that it's authentic.
Okay. A universal notary. But the sources make a pretty bold claim here. They call it the first truly cross-chain solution for this kind of digital verification. Why is that cross-chain part, or omni-chain, as you said, why is that so difficult technically and so important strategically?
Well, it's kind of the holy grail for blockchain, isn't it? Interoperability. See, most blockchains, they live in their own little worlds, silos. Information on Ethereum doesn't easily or securely talk to Solana or, in this case, the Pi blockchain. Omnichain means Sign Protocol can verify something happened on Pi and then sort of stamp that verification as valid on other major networks too, Ethereum, Solana, TON network.
Ah, okay. So it's like building a bridge of trust,
Yeah.
maybe, connecting the Pi ecosystem, which has been pretty self-contained, to the wider established crypto world, pulling it out of that isolation.
Exactly that, building bridges. And the trust part, well, that gets a huge boost from who's backing Sign Protocol. We're not talking small-time investors here. It's top-tier VCs. Sequoia Capital, Circle Ventures, Binance Labs, these are big names. Plus, Sign Protocol isn't brand new. They've apparently processed over 800,000 signed contracts already. They have a track record.
Wow, okay. That VC list is, well, it's institutional credibility, right? It means serious players, the kind who do deep dives on regulation and viability. They've already put their money and reputation behind Sign Protocol.
Precisely. And for Pi Network, which, let's face it, has always struggled with how institutions see it, that isn't real criticism. Partnering with someone who has that level of backing and a proven history, it just instantly lifts their game in terms of trustworthiness. It's like borrowing credibility to solve that perception problem.
Okay, let's shift gears then. Let's talk concrete benefits.
Yeah.
For the average Pi user, the pioneer, how does this actually solve the big problems Pi faces? Not just features, but solutions. Problem one you hinted at, lack of legal teeth, enforceability.
Yeah, this is absolutely critical. This partnership aims to inject real legal validity into Pi. Before, if you made a deal using a Pi Smart contract, it was kind of just valid within the Pi world. Now, the idea is document verification, digital signatures that are not just blockchain valid, but could potentially carry weight off-chain, legally speaking.
Hold on. You mean real legal validity? Like if I'm using PiBazar, that community marketplace, and I use a Pi app for a business deal, and the other person flakes, does this Sign Protocol attestation actually help me in like a normal court? What do the sources imply there?
So, the sources focus on it providing the foundation, the legally valid basis for these agreements and contracts within Pi. It directly tackles that old weakness of crypto digital agreements often felt detached from real-world consequences. By giving you that solid, attested proof that something was signed, that it exists, it makes it much easier to pursue legal options if needed. it boosts commercial trust significantly.
Okay, that makes the abstract real. Thinking about that CheckPi community example, trading opportunities. Suddenly, this means local entrepreneurs could have verified transactions, documents, with actual legal backing for stuff they trade in their community market. It potentially turns something like PiBazar from just a concept into a place where deals have real consequences.
It gives the whole thing more function, more bite, which leads to the second big problem this tackles, that isolation issue, the walled garden, interoperability.
Right, so if the legal side is potentially getting stronger, how does this help users actually, connect their Pi activity or value to the outside crypto world?
Well, by creating that attested proof of a contract, proof of status, whatever it is on Pi, that proof can now be recognized seamlessly by external networks. This makes it easier for Pi tokens themselves to be adopted more widely. And maybe even more importantly, it opens the door for Pi applications or verified data to integrate with existing DeFi protocols.
DeFi, decentralized finance. For anyone listening, that's the huge world of crypto lending, borrowing, trading platforms.
Exactly. You can't really play in global finance if your stuff is locked up on its own island. This omni-chain verification thing is like the key. It unlocks the door to that much bigger pool of capital and activity. Suddenly, Pi isn't just this isolated token. It could become a source of or destination for verifiably real activity or capital.
Which all seems to lean on that third benefit you mentioned, better institutional drivability, that credibility factor again. Beyond just the VC's backing sign protocol, how does the technology itself help Pi with things like regulations?
Well, think about what institutions need. Banks, big crypto firms, they need clear audit trails. They need legal certainty, no ambiguity. Sign protocol provides exactly that, a verifiable, potentially legally sound mechanism that fits modern regulatory needs. If every important interaction is attested, provable across different chains, it just makes proving compliance way easier. It could bring a new level of transparency to Pi.
Okay, so this sign protocol partnership is clearly a massive strategic bet on trust and legitimacy. Now, to really understand why they made this move now, we need to look at where Pi was right before this announcement. The sources mention a lot of tech upgrades happening fast, right around September 2025. Seems like momentum was building internally.
Oh, yeah. They were moving quickly. September saw Protocol V23 rollout. That brought full smart contract support, which is, essential, foundational. And importantly, they tackled a major user headache, KYC.
Know your customer.
Right.
That old 30-day wait for verification, that was a big drag for people wanting to get fully involved.
It was a huge bottleneck. So they brought in an AI-driven KYC system. The whole point was to speed up verification, get rid of that waiting period. That move alone shows they were serious about making the network more usable, reducing friction. Plus, they launched the Pi Day World Metaverse on Mainnet around then, too. So still pushing platform expansion, user engagement.
That's definitely strong tech momentum. But tech progress doesn't always equal market confidence, does it? You mentioned the market situation was tricky back in September 2025. Why was this legitimacy push so urgent then?
Yeah, it was necessary timing, probably, because all that tech progress was happening while the market was, well, a bit shaky for Pi. The price mentioned in the sources was around 0.28 cents, and that was after a 20% drop. And then there was the token supply situation, around 446 million tokens reportedly on exchanges, with another big chunk, 137 million, planned for release in October.
Oof. Okay, so internal tech moving fast, but externally, price pressure in the shadow of more supply hitting the market soon.
Exactly. A falling price plus a big upcoming token release that makes people nervous, right? So this huge partnership announcement focusing on utility, trust, legal grounding via sign protocol. You could see it partly as a strategic countermove. It's Pi saying, look, forget the short-term market noise. We are fundamentally upgrading the value and trustworthiness of this network right now. There's real substance being built here.
That connects all the dots. It makes perfect sense. The transition seems clear now. Pi Network is pushing hard to shift gears, moving away from just being this massive community project, this experiment, towards becoming a functional blockchain ecosystem, one built on verifiable, enforceable, hopefully real-world uses.
Yeah, the focus isn't just if Pi will launch anymore. It's about how it will actually enable things like legally sound digital commerce for its millions and millions of users. It's all about hitting that goal of mainstream adoption, institutional legitimacy. And that takes practical applications.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, it feels like Pi Network's immediate future really hangs on how well this sign protocol integration goes. The success of this whole pivot kind of depends on whether pioneers, the users, actually start using this new capability. using it for real, verifiable, maybe even legally sound digital activities.
That's the bottom line. So the advice for Pi Pioneers for you, if you're listening and you're a user, is probably, first, pay close attention to how this integration rolls out. Understand that how you verify documents or confirm agreements might change. But more than that, start exploring what new cross-chain possibilities this opens up. Maybe it's time to think beyond just clicking the button and towards actually creating verifiable value, commercial or social, on the platform.
Okay, and let's leave you with a final thought to chew on after this deep dive. Something to consider as Pi makes this massive shift, if, and it's still an if, but if this signed protocol partnership genuinely solves the core problems of legal validity and cross-chain verification, allowing for things like binding smart contracts, verified business deals, what comes next? What's the next really essential, maybe even mundane mainstream service that could be built on Pi using these newly verified, legally sound foundations? Think beyond just crypto trading. Could it be a simple, verifiable escrow for everyday transactions? A basic digital land registry for a community? What practical service takes Pi truly mainstream?
Yeah, figuring out that next essential service, that's probably what determines if this partnership leads to real long-term success or just a temporary credibility boost.
Lots to think about. Until next time, keep digging into the sources. We'll see you in the next deep dive.